Awesome. Well, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, actually. So, so I like this guitar. First of all, explain to me this.
Well, JD, our old bassist, this is his guitar that I promised I would safe keep. He bought it on one of our tours. I'd say not even that long ago, maybe about a year ago now. But tours kind of seem to blend together. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, the way that we tour, there's certain bands where they'll do a month tour and then they'll go home for 3 months and then they'll do 2 months. But I mean, over the last 3 years, well, what year are we in? 2015.
2015, my friend.
We did our first one out to Kansas in 11. We started touring in about 2010. But I mean, really, how we tour now in 2012. We started doing 4 months a year. In 12, we did like 4 months, and then 2013, we did 5 months. Maybe we only did like 4 months. 2013, we didn't do as much touring, but then the last 2 years, it's really like, oh my God, it's almost 2016, you know?
That's awesome.
And I did the math. I was home. This year, I'll be home I think 4 months. So I've been gone 8 months on the road. Which doesn't really matter because the road becomes your home, I guess. They say,
That's right.
But back to the point, yeah, JD got this at a little guitar shop in the middle of Nowheresville because bands, I find that in between shows you got to find things to do, and when you're in smaller towns, such as Hutch, not that it's not a small town, but it's definitely not. It's not Kansas City. It's not one of the big ones like LA or Chicago. I mean, there's a million and one things to do. So you go looking for things to do, and there's always a good music shop. That's always a good place to find cool old guitars. And this was a neat little parlor guitar that he was like, I'm gonna get it. It's only $100. Not a big thing. And when he kind of went back to Denver to do his thing this summer, I had an acoustic show, and my acoustic guitar, the neck had snapped right here when we were on the road.
Oh, crap.
A big piece of equipment had fallen and just snapped the neck. So I was like, hey, man, I haven't gotten a new guitar. Do you mind if I borrow your parlor guitar? And he was just like, give it a ride, to keep taking it across the country. So JD, I've got your guitar, man.
We've got the guitar, and we're going across the country now. Pullman Standard is... Before we got on the air, we were kind of discussing a little bit of where it's been and where it's going, and kind of, I'm going to leave that open to you, and you tell me as much as or little as you want.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where and we were talking about this, like so many bands, they're like, they sugarcoat a lot of things, and, it's just, I have so many fans that come out to the shows on this last tour that we've been on, the Starting Static tour. None of my guys are with me. None of the guys that cut their teeth with me over the last 2 years are out here now. And it's a frustrating thing. It really is. I miss all of them. I miss Flip. I miss JD. I miss Core. And then, even Thomas. I miss him. There's so many... we set out in 2000, pretty much the end of 2013, we set out with a new goal, which was a new brand. Pullman Standard needs a new feel, needs a new look. It had gone from the steam-powered hearts, steampunk, the kind of cabaret burlesque rock, to rock and roll. Like, let's get a little bit more dirty, let's get a little bit more aggressive, and let's go show people what I've kind of called it was dirty rock pop, I guess you would say. You know what I mean? It's a little bit dirtier because it's done independently. We don't have a record label, and but it's rock and roll, but it's pop. It's pop music is just short for popular music, and something that it appeals to the masses. And I'd like to say that our rock and roll appeals to the masses, and it just, as much as I will continue to move forward, because I started Pullman Standard, I really miss the guys that cut their teeth with me, where they weren't, there wasn't any real money on the line. It was, let's do this because we love what we're doing. We believe in the music that I had set forth, and they were such great teammates, great buddies, you know.
Yeah.
And you get in fights, but the guy who's out on the road with us right now, who's our drummer, he said something. His name's Anthony, and he said something in this interview where he said, you know, tip to all you guys out there when you tour is get in a fight immediately, because it kind of it exposes who you really are. And it's, you know, I didn't really agree with that, because it was like, you're gonna get in a fight eventually with someone.
Yeah.
Disagreements are gonna happen. Don't do it right off the bat. All that does is just piss everybody off. You know, all that does is just put waves out there that it makes it's almost like you're burning a bridge before you've even tried to walk over it.
Yeah.
You know, and it really sucks, because now, you know, you're trying to figure out where things stand, what people want, what's going on, and you know, it becomes frustrating rather than a building process. It's more of a repairing process, you know. As opposed to those guys, I miss them just because it was always a building process. There was never any repair. You know, I remember getting in a fight with Flip, and afterwards, the next morning, as weird as it was, he just gave me a big hug. I gave him a big hug, and I was like, I love you, man. You know, it's these things, but that's what's so great, and it gets left out of a lot of interviews. And I mean, that's why I like long form. That's why I always like chatting with you when we come to Kansas, is like, because we can sit down and talk about the meat and potatoes.
We can talk about this stuff.
It's more like you just ask me a question, and I just tell you.
You do your thing.
This is what's up. So.
Well, I want you to play me a tune here.
Yes, we talked about that.
So, what is the brief history behind what you're about to play?
Okay, well, this tune, actually, I was gonna play the song "Crazy Love" at first. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know, that's a song that a lot of our fans kind of identify with, Pullman Standard. And then, but to me, there's a song that I actually like. I love playing every single night. It's one of the last tunes we play, and it's called Neon. A lot of our fans don't know this. They see it's an acronym, and it just stands for Never Ending Optimistic Nights. And it reminds me of my guys in my band. Like, when we were, every single night, you'd have a good show, you'd have a bad show. You'd show up at a bar, it would smell like smoke, there'd be 5 people there, and you knew you had to play it because you had to make sure that you made the money, the bar was paying you to be there. And then there was other nights where you'd show up at a really small venue, but there would be all these kids there waiting for you in a small town. And so you never knew what you were going to get, and that's what almost was fun. It was like an adventure. And so this song, Neon, even though I don't like spelling out exactly what songs are about, because I'd rather, I mean, as a fan, I'd rather you draw your own conclusion. I mean, you and I talked about this, I think actually the last interview that you and I had was you and me, and I said I don't like spelling things out, because a song may mean something totally different to you, and if I say what it means to me, it might ruin that song for you. You know, to you it might be about a girl. You might be like, oh, I've been where you've been, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, it's about my dog. And you're like, shit, man. So, anyways. This song is called Neon. It goes like this. Dreamt of you the last few nights. It might have been the neon lights, but I couldn't get enough. No, I couldn't get enough. Heart was beating in my ear. The silhouette of you was clear, but I couldn't get enough. No, I couldn't get enough. As the floor began to shake, try to run or try to save the memory of what never was. Don't try to break me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. Don't try to break me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. All I wanted was more time, and I couldn't get so far. You were shining like the stars, and I couldn't get enough. No, I couldn't get enough. We were caught between the lines. Reality could not define the gravity of what always was. So don't try to keep me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. Don't try to keep me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. Just give me one more night. Just give me one more try. Just give me one more night. Yeah. You give me one more. You give me one more. Just give me one more. Dreamt of you the last night. All I wanted was more time, but I couldn't get enough. No, I couldn't get enough. So don't try to break me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. Don't try to break me from this. I like the way it ends. I like the way it ends. I couldn't get enough. Couldn't get enough.
Holy smokes!
The abbreviated version. I cut a couple seconds out. I actually just saw that there we go. Back this up just a half
Look at that.
second. So we're periscoping right now.
Yes.
We'll get more.
Yes. Tell that is something I want to get your thoughts and feelings on with this whole Periscope business.
The whole periscoping social media is I totally ruined this awesome Periscope that we've been having. I don't even know.
Hey, we're live.
see.
We're live on the fly here.
There it
Look
is.
at that.
Perfect. Much
Look
better.
at that.
Yeah, man. Well, that's something that actually Anthony, like I said, the drummer that's out on tour with us right now, he brought to my attention. He's like, you guys have so many Twitter followers. You have so many people that pay attention to what you're doing on Twitter. And Periscope is this new app that's attached to it, and it's live feed. And it really engages, your followers, kind of thing. And it's something that I'm actually really starting to like because people can ask you questions, and they could like what you're doing or see what's going on, and I think it's working out all right. I mean,
That's cool.
It allows you to engage, like when you Instagram, Instagram, when you're Instagramming or when you tweet and people will see it. They can go through your news feed, and people that follow you, they see what your little 144 characters.
That's right.
But this is like when we do long form interviews, it's really cool to have your fans kind of catch or engage with you and really see. Sometimes it's back behind the scenes. We were partying really hard the other night at the Twisted Diamond, which is this guy's rock. But actually, he's a good friend of mine. Over the years, you start, like you and I, becoming.
Yeah.
You develop relationships. A lot of guys, a lot of younger guys, and that's something that I like to tell some of the younger bands I run into is don't discredit anybody you run into. Because you never know who they know. And on top of that is always show respect. Because whether that person, this is the first interview they're giving you, or maybe the 400th interview that they've done, there's a song by Neon Trees, maybe you know that band, and the song's called Everybody Talks. And how in the chorus it's funny, like when he says it's true. It started with a whisper, and then it goes from there. But it's very true, man.
Yeah.
You say, I have a podcast right now. It doesn't have a lot of followers, but people that eventually become fans of you are going to go back and look at some of your earlier stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's just like with our band. They look at the earlier songs. They want to see where you came from. It means the world to me to go back and see somebody's early catalogs, because you could see somebody like like one of my heroes who I love very much in the music industry, Tim Armstrong, great songwriter. He wrote for Pink. He's written for a bunch of other people too. He's a good producer. Came from a band called Rancid. Came from a band called Operation Ivy, where he's just a street punk.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy writes really good tunes, man, and it's something where you go back and see where they come from, and you're like, okay, now I get why they are this way, why they talk about certain things in their material, you know, and you see their background. Or, you know, for instance, Billy Joe Armstrong, Green Day, you know, some of the things. For a moment he was trying to be political. Now he's back to being punk rock, but it's just like, you know, it's still kind of cool to see that punk rock side of things.
Very much so.
I relate with that just because I come from that punk rock attitude of, a lot of people say, oh, it's punk rock, you don't give a shit. But really, I think punk rock means you do give a shit. But you give a shit about what means the world to what's right around you and your family. You know, I used to go out, and I remember having my crew, my friends that we'd go just make a ruckus with, and you know, that's punk rock, man. So
now you guys are out on tour. You're doing all sorts of stuff. Just this last week, you played at WSU. You did some student union thing.
Yep.
Then you played the Paramount in Salina.
Yeah.
And now you're here at the Rusty Needle in Hodge.
Yeah.
That is like, all those three things are so different.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the WSU thing and then the Paramount and what you're doing here tonight.
I think where Pullman Standard is as far as being DIY, which, trust you me, like we talked about this too. If you have a budget, like how nice would it be?
Oh God.
You know, and it's like
if somebody would bring me in a budget.
But then
Holy smokes.
you start learning how to make your own budget, which is okay. Universities have a budget, and they will pay you to come in if you're a valid entertainer. I.e., Pullman Standard is a valid entertainment.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of music videos. We've toured for a long time, so you have that under your belt. You start utilizing what is around you, what is best around you. Yeah, we're in a bar right now, but this is what's going to give us the money to get to our next all ages show in Denver, which is sold out. You know, and it's like, as much as that's where Pullman Standard has always leaned to, we've always leaned on the kids that are in high school and college, because that's the most. When you talk to some, first of all, that's the next generation, okay? And as much as like you joke about it, any rock star will always respect the younger crowd in a sense where that is the future. But if you can learn how to transcend, like I've been around for a while now, you know, this ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah.
So you transcend that wisdom across the board when you are creating your own budget. The paramount is, you would say, in our industry, we call them market.